So yeah, boys. I already like made an intro to this before, but I deleted the video to see something real quick. Sorry for that. But today we're gonna react to how to be tell me a creepy story and wait how to be your own creator limits and tell me a creepy story. Let's get to the vid.
Tell me a creepy story. Hungry Joe. This one isn't for anyone who hates the sound of people very loudly chewing. They spike up the sound mixing like they hate you, hate me, hate themselves, and definitely hate their own creation. Joe, a kid born with a severe case of polyphagia, or insatiable hunger.
I'm not gonna lie, I low-key think I have this. To be honest with you, like, it's just, I honestly, God, think I have this. But given the amount of money that I spend on food, bro, like crazy. I spend more money on food than anything else. In my opinion. So I honestly, God, think I have this. Hold on, protein. Hmm.
His parents, Laura and Craig, are super excited for his arrival, but from the moment he's born, his boundless appetite becomes a menace to their lives and their sanity.
Please, why won't you people just listen?
Surprised his ass ain't fat. Eating, but this nigga has to be eating at least 10,000 calories. 10,000 calories, 1,000 grams of protein. Not going to the gym. Oh man, you bro's nerfing himself, man. You're nerfing yourself. And how the hell are you affording all this food? I know this nigga, bro. Ain't no damn way, man.
And it only gets worse as he grows up, especially because while he eats everything in sight, he doesn't gain weight. In fact, he's treated for malnutrition. Doctors dismiss Laura's fears about his appetite as ignorance. Social workers accuse her of neglect. Her husband leaves, and Laura's forced to make daily trips to the food bank to feed Joe. She also starts looking for any opportunity to euthanize the cancerous growth in her life without having to kill him herself. Although she fantasizes about more proactive approaches constantly. Ironically, it's her dutiful parenting that dooms her from the start. We take care of our kids' needs because we're legally and emotionally responsible for them. But because Joe physically cannot provide enough for himself until he's older, he becomes codependent on Laura for survival and is never guided towards coping mechanisms or taught even the barest concept of restraint, which means he grows up to become the weird recluse at the end of the road kids taunt with fish on a stick. Eventually, he starts killing neighborhood pets to slake his hunger. And he sneaks onto farms to eat livestock, taking buckshot to the leg as he runs away. Laura doesn't have him treated for it, which, to be honest, blood poisoning or sepsis is a far worse way to kill someone than just stabbing them in the heart or walking them to a high balcony and shoving them off. Eventually, Joe's burden becomes too much for Laura, and she unalives herself in the bathtub, accidentally leaving him a tasty final meal that inspires a new type of insatiable hunger. Unfortunately for the new neighbors, the infection from his leg wound is taking its time, and Joe has set his sights on their pint-sized Happy Meal as the story ends. Great going, Laura. Now you've made it everybody else's problem. This one's actually...
I fucking doubt it, bro. If he can't take care of himself, then there's no way he's gonna be able to do anything with that fucked up leg. Good luck, bro.
actually pretty fascinating. It's definitely heavily inspired by the real-life story of a Frenchman named Tarrare, an underweight man with an oversized mouth whose appetite made him famous. His family cast him out as a teenager when they couldn't provide for him, so he became a sideshow act, routinely consuming live animals whole and offal in the gutters. He eventually was treated in a hospital, where he was caught eating corpses in the morgue, and eventually kicked out when he was accused of consuming a toddler. Laura could have handled a whole lot of the problems here pretty early on. The accusations of the doctor and social workers would be easy to prove false. All she needed to do is put cameras in the house for a few days, record the sheer volume that she feeds him, and her day-to-day routine of bathing him, and any accusations would fall away pretty quickly, and she might even be able to get some sort of government disability subsidy to provide for him. But she has a couple more permanent options here. Although none of them are going to win her a Mother of the Year award, the first is obvious. Give him up to a research hospital. She has neither the financial nor mental abilities to handle his case.
That's fucking crazy. When she vomited, this nigga, yo, I just thought he was just like eating. This salop ass nigga ate her vomit. Ah man, that breath is gone, bro.
Hair. And honestly, they'd probably find him so fascinating they wouldn't mind footing the bill to keep him for the rest of his life. Surrendering a kid you can't properly care for is probably the best outcome for everyone. It's very likely Joe has a form of Prader-Willi syndrome, a genetic condition where a kid's metabolism spikes. They develop low muscle tone and insatiable appetite, have trouble eating as babies, and never feel full even when they've gorged themselves. Hospitals already administer human growth hormone to treat this, so it's very possible that they could find a treatment that would work for him. The second option, which has only recently become available, is to find a sleazy doctor willing to prescribe him a hunger suppressant, like these new weight loss injections everyone's taking. The final option, that doesn't involve flat out killing him, is a little more creative and might not work, but it's worth a shot if you're determined to keep him with you. Teach him table manners, get him a therapist that specializes in polyphagia, and sign him up for every competitive eating competition you can find. Channel the thing he can't help.
Yeah, like, bro, you about to bring home. I don't even know, bro. You about to bring home the cheese for real, bro. Go into the doors. Since you love eating so much, bro's gonna be sitting there eating 500 pies, 800 hot dogs, and 35 hamburgers. Like, here you go, man. Go crazy.
Down an avenue with routine, reliable structure, and which takes at least part of the burden off of you. Myosotis. A man and his wife are having a silent standoff at the dinner table. He's ticked that she's served him a vegetarian meal when all he can think about is the slab of meat winking at him from the fridge. Eventually, he gets up to throw his food away. She steps up to face him, and he shoves her, half accidentally on purpose, on top of the open dishwasher, where she's impaled on a knife. No worries, bro. You'll get plenty of meat in prison, just probably not the kind you like. Although, to think like a true psychopath, a good lawyer would be able to make the case that she just slipped on a towel and fell. Once you rinse the blood off and wash her hands in bleach. Instead, this stupid husband goes with the more is more approach. He starts scheming on how to get rid of the body like he's gonna get points for originality. He talks himself out of all that and goes with something that is arguably dumber. He buries her in a super shallow grave in their garden. That's right, she grew a massive garden for them, which is why she was feeding him vegetables in the first place. The next morning, he discovers the garden has started overproducing food. In the night, the back door opens on its own and he wakes to someone in his house. He arms himself with a candelabra and goes on the attack, only to discover somebody has unloaded all his garden veggies in his fridge onto the kitchen floor. He buys a bunch of motion-activated cameras and stations them around his house and in the backyard, and it captures something as soon as he goes upstairs for the night, but we never see what it is. In the morning, he discovers someone has harvested more vegetables from the garden and put them in the fridge. So he decides to get ahead of it by harvesting as much as he can and stacking it all for anyone to take along the road. Once he does, however, he realizes something's tainting the food. No, not tainting it, possessing it for their own nefarious purposes. husband follows the trail of vegetarian carnage outside and gets scared back by something in the corn.
Yo, bro. And that's one of my worst nightmares right there. Cornfields. I hate them shits with the fucking passion because I already know, like, oh my god, bro. What am I even supposed to do? The thing behind me is going crazy. It has 35 XP, 3500 XP. It can run like the Flash. It can teleport. Like it's over, and I'm in a cornfield. The cornfield is literally just until you reach the end. I can't hide none of that shit. So it's like I'm losing, bro. It's L.
He retreats to the house, grabs a flamethrower, and calls the police before attempting to engage with whatever scared him. The police pick up just as the motion sensor cameras go off, and he encounters the final boss every vegan has to defeat before they're allowed to absorb iron efficiently.
I'm dying right there, bro. You saw how fast that shit just came? It's like, oh my god, bro. Like I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be like that, bro. I'm dead ass dying right there. I swear to God, bro. Is it possible to die to fear? Like when you get fight or flight, usually you either like, you fight or flight. You just become so instilled with fear that you quite literally drop to the floor and die. You don't pass out of that shit. Your heart stops beating and everything. Like, is that possible? Let me know down in the comments.
In the end, the vegetative monstrosity that is his former wife carves him up for dinner and plants his head in the garden as a warning to other ungrateful husbands. So, this one's obvious, right? If your wife's on a garden veggie kick, eat her healthy bullshit, then make yourself a pork chop afterward, like a grown man. I'd be pissed enough to kill too if I died because my partner couldn't make themselves a goddamn hot dog. Surviving the revenge of Vegzilla is a matter of distance. Hook up a security camera and go stay somewhere else for a while until you know what you're dealing with. Then come back with a Buddhist priest or something. Red water. A teen named Jane is home alone, pining for an ex, Jacob, who's already moved on, when a shadowy figure begins spying on her from outside. A little while later, she realizes the water's out and tries calling her parents for help. They don't answer, so she calls an all-night plumber. When he arrives, she tells him there's no water coming from any faucet in the house, and she suspects it started with her parents' shower, which was struggling the week before. He goes up to check, but while he's gone, the actual plumber, Levi, arrives. He dismisses her concerns about the other guy, saying it's probably just a mix-up, but offers to check for her anyway. But when they go upstairs, the bathroom's empty and the water's working again. He reassures her it was probably a wires crossed situation and leaves, taking a brutal hammer strike to the face right outside. Meanwhile, Jane heads to her kitchen, where she discovers Jacob standing in her kitchen, not just sopping wet, but wet like he's constantly under a shower. She's so distracted, she doesn't hear the plumber wailing in pain outside as his attacker finishes him off. She also doesn't notice the killer climbing up a weird outside set of stairs to her house. Jane wakes from a strange vision to discover her cell phone's missing and the landline doesn't work. She runs outside to find a man with a knife waiting for her and retreats back inside where she locks all the doors. Before remembering, her parents have a patio off their bedroom. Discovers that door is wide open. She hears a ghostly voice call to her, and like an idiot, she follows it, finding a ghost version of Jacob standing in the shower right before a spot of blood appears on her shirt. Suddenly, Mr. Knife Guy shuts off the lights. Jane dips into her bedroom and locks the door. Before remembering, she shares a Jack and Jill bathroom with the room next door. She hears the knife scraping against something and runs for the door just as Mr. Knife Guy slices her arm. She runs to the kitchen and arms herself, then hides in a corner as he searches for her. As he passes, she hits him in the leg, but turns to flee instead of plunging the knife in again, and he catches her. Jane reaches for anything, but he overpowers her, slamming her head back onto the floor. He steals her necklace as a souvenir, while she limply reaches for a piece of broken record to use as a weapon. For whatever reason, Jacob's ghost tries to hold her back, but she ignores him, grabs the shard, and plunges it into her attacker's neck, popping him like a Capri Sun. solid B plus effort.
I was gonna say I don't know how to. Ain't no way he's still standing after that. I know one thing for a fact: if you get any type of trauma, bullet, stab, blunt force to the neck, it's over, bro. All your major arteries are in your neck. So if you get like any damage to that, it's over. Yeah, you're gonna be standing for like 2-3 minutes before you die. House ain't listen. No hospital gang.
Considering all the random bull thrown in here. Now, run to the neighbor's house. She doesn't do that. Instead, she direct messages 911, unfriends Jacob, and cranks up her record player again, just to really set that somber tone when the cops show up. Anyway, couple things here. As a precaution, when you're alone like this for maintenance services, ask the company for the name of the person that they're sending. We're all used to being asked for our name when we meet somebody, so it's a safe litmus test for most situations. This would have told her within 3 seconds of his arrival that he wasn't who he's claiming to be, while allowing her to fake being unconcerned before bolting. If you didn't do that, once the second plumber shows up, it's time to call the cops, then call the company. Let them figure out if they sent 2 people while you walk to your neighbor's house and ask to stay with them until the cops arrive. If you make it all the way to the point where you're unsure whether someone has left your home or not, and your phones have disappeared or stopped working, it's time to head to that neighbor's house or arm yourself and retreat to a room that you can secure. And I'm not talking one knife from a drawer full of them. I'm taking multiple, with a minimum of 1 hidden so that you can grab it if you're being attacked. If you are attacked, don't give him a paper cut. Plunge that blade so deep inside of him that the coroner has to use an electric saw to remove it. And if you listen to me and grabbed multiple knives, plunge one into the nearest available body.
Should have really tried to get it in his like knee for real. Cause a knee stab, bro. Like I'm sorry, but him even walking on that, he's gonna feel that pain immediately. And ain't no coming back from that, my boy. You're gonna be limping for Soski.
Part and the other into something more vital through his eye, throat, or into his lower back where his kidneys are. The good word. This one is short and sweet. A quote-unquote missionary, Ivan, wakes up clutching his tattered Bible next to the corpse of his latest victim. He robs her, makes sure she's decently laid out on the bed, and leaves in search of his next target. He arrives at the door of Mrs. Taggart, the spunky wife of a meat farmer, who invites him in and has a chat with him. Ivan tells her he's been everywhere preaching the good word, then asks her a series of increasingly nosy questions until her husband comes home,
bad.
and they toy with him playfully, inviting him to dinner, right before Mrs. Taggart swings in with a Rapunzel-worthy TKO.
I don't want to be.
Ivan wakes up chained in the nearly pitch-black basement with no means of escape since he can't see 2 feet in front of him. That's probably a good thing, as we pull out to discover that the Taggarts really love their meat, and they really like the cut of it.
Pass against us, and lead us not into temptation.
Just goes to show that wolves can wear a variety of sheep's clothing. Surviving this comes down to doing your due diligence and picking more compatible targets. There's a reason the long-running uncaught killers survive as long as they do, because they take precautions. At least until they don't. Then they're caught, or killed, or fall victim to their own hubris. Ivan here just got a lethal dose of humility supplied by better monsters than him. If you find yourselves caught and tied up by your betters, you're going to be feeling around with your fingers and teeth to see if anything can be pulled loose or chewed through. Not saying you can't escape this basement, but you're going to be at it for a while. And since we never get a good look at how he's chained, it's anyone's guess if the chain attaches to the wall or ropes or concrete, all of which would require different strategies. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and call this one unsurvivable without more information. Most of these creepy stories were solid, but in the end, the only truly inescapable one is the one that doesn't give us enough to work with. For those reasons, I think Tell Me a Creepy Story was beaten. Now, tell me your own creepy story in the comments.
W Nerd explains. The BV, boys. I'm gonna catch y'all. Just. Nah, I said that bullshit. Yo.